Okay, so I didn't share my own link. That's apparent, because I just realised. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out there that there will be some theology, I'm sure, because it's me and I can never stick to my own notes even. But mainly it's psychology, and I'm confident, like I really am confident that this will help somebody. It helps me when I go back over stuff that I already know. And I feel like intuitively at some point along the way you'll recognize some of this in yourself. So that being said, so we're going to look at like why we drive each other mental, basically. Why is that? So I have to start. I didn't share the link. So I have to start right at the beginning. And, people may well believe that in seeking a partner, a romantic partner, is like, this is the kind of love I'm speaking about, or relationship, that, that this seeking is inspired by a desire to find somebody who will or can make us happy. However, it's really not. And that can lessen the surprise when it's like when the road is bumpy, because the truth is ever so slightly more odd, and a little bit confused. Because one of the weirdest or like most unexpected aspects of love is that whilst we seek out or are already with our like love, our partner, our whatever you want to call it, I don't know, we don't actually look for just anybody. Like we don't, there are many physically attractive, kind, good, reasonable people. They may share our, football team, they may share our academic interests, but they don't ever get a second look in. Like there's something missing from that pattern, and that's how we know that we don't just seek people who are kind and good and attractive and maybe sexy. I don't know, like whatever your little shopping list might be. What we do look for is somebody who will satisfy and fulfill a certain number of already like pre-existing requirements psychologically, and we may not be wholly aware that we have these requirements. And this is why I feel like you're going to recognize some stuff that I'm going to say. These pre-existing psychological requirements may well include, but not be restricted to, a certain need for frustration and, for example, humiliation. Stick with me, kids. Within this seeking out love, the object of our love, we are restricted certainly by, in our choice making, by what we learned about love as children. So similar, so we're going to almost focus again on that small self that loves within us. But certainly what we learn about love, what we think love looks like, what we believe it feels like as children, sets the tone for till the end of the world or to the end of yours. And as an adult, we unconsciously seek, is basically we are searching for an ability to rediscover the emotions that we first incorporated or felt in childhood. And that's not always a good look, but there is hope, like don't panic. So in order to seem to us exciting and attractive, the partner we choose must fulfill or must evoke within us many of the feelings that we once had around parental figures, and that's why there's what of a stereotype. Well, not even a stereotype. In essence, of our two main parental figures, like father and mother, we will to some extent play out their role in their relationship, in our relationships, to seek to fix the things that we saw. I'll get onto that. These, like, don't get me wrong, these feelings that we seek, for our partners to re-trigger within us, as it were, so that we can play them out again and again and again until we find a solution, which may never happen. They can include, obviously, tenderness and a sense of satisfaction and warmness and fuzzy feelings and like, yay! And it's not my area, but that kind of shiz. However, they're also likely, very likely actually, to feature quite a darker and more troubling array of emotions. And these are just examples. It may be a desire to prove ourselves if one of our parents or both of our parents were dismissive of our achievements, or we felt, more importantly, that they were dismissive or didn't see the magnitude of our achievements as a child. It could be, I don't know, like feelings of shame concerning sex or sexuality even. If one of your parents was somewhat depressed, it could be the need, like a desire to cheer someone up, and to make somebody laugh and to, enjoy the closeness that comes with laughing with somebody. And this is entrenched. This goes as far as we can experience ourselves rejecting potential love interests as an adult, not because they are wrong in the sense of what we're looking for, but they're like a little bit too right, and therefore a bit too reminiscent of the parental figure, and that can be a bit, for example, if one of your parents was absent because of death or divorce, you may, you'll take one of those roles. You'll either seek somebody who is emotionally unavailable or detached or dismissive in some respect, or you will find that you are maybe quite needy when you project an emotional absence that may not even be there in somebody else. And also when we reject these potential people who may seem like on the surface, like basically our archetypal, go-to guy, as it were, we may also reject them because we are probably subconsciously, but maybe dimly aware that they aren't going to make us suffer, or they're not going to make us suffer in the ways that we need to suffer in order to not only feel that the love is real, but in order to be able to play out the catharsis of trying to, eternally, sometimes it feels, resolve these issues, because that's what we're subconsciously aiming to do. We want to rectify the situations in which we were least powerful, most powerless, and love is come on, it's up there with the older vulnerability stakes. So there are many views, obviously, of love. And the romantic one, maybe the mainstream one, the Mills and Boons, the teenage girl magazines one, would have us believe that we ultimately end up in bad relationships, as it were, mistakenly. And there's reams of literature also on where it starts to go wrong and what responsibility lies where. The psychological view is somewhat different. And this is suggestive of us ending up in challenging places because of an unconscious desire or intention, whilst we remain, unaware of our need for a partner who evokes in us the feelings that our parents once did, in order that we can have a potential, like we can repeat this flawed, yet very strong dynamic as we did as children. And in those cases, we're drawn to people with the very same failings as our parents. Sometimes these failings are in different, slightly different, they manifest slightly differently, but at the core, they will be the same failings. Like I said, if your father is absent for whatever reason, there will be some element of absenteeism within your relationship, either from you or received by you, because of what I'm about to tell you. And we act towards our partner as our parent or parents once acted toward us. We also push our partners, still unconsciously, like it's not by design. It's not, we push our partners into the role that we once inhabited as children. And once you start to see these, I'm going to break from my own notes. The thing about cognitive behavioral therapy, the thing about knowing something intellectual and knowing it as part of your makeup is that I can sit here and share all sorts of insights with you and tell you, unless you, it's similar with any learning, but for you to incorporate that into your psyche or have some benefit from it, you need to think about it and come up with the conclusions. They may very well be the same conclusions that I'm kind of drawing you towards. Hopefully they are. But the process of considering it and then coming to a conclusion, because there are overthinkers and then there are it becomes redundant. It's just a cycle of just thinking and thinking. And what it really is worry dressed up as thinking. You think to yourself, oh, I better just think about this for a day, a couple of days, a few minutes. But you don't come to any conclusion. You just make yourself pretty tired from thinking, because thinking feels like an action. It feels like you're doing something. Either way, we can either adopt the role of the child, as it were, in our relationships, or we can push our partners into that role in order, again, for us to try to act out these same scenarios and find a better solution. And we may, in this process, leave our loved ones uncertain of where they stand. Believe me, that's a thing. Or keenly aware of their own inadequacies, because one assumes that if somebody loves you, they want you to be okay. They want to help, and if they are pushed into a role that they're not familiar with, they didn't grow up in your house, it can make them feel inadequate and recognize their inadequacies in trying to comfort somebody who's not there. In essence, they're inhabiting a role that's not quite them. And we, it just seems that we are destined somewhat, partially, to seek out the failings of one parent, at least, in our partner, and then to throw it in their face. Other than that, into your partner's face. Either way, whether you adopt it or project it, it does control to a large degree, our love choices and the choices we can make once we are in love as well, which is a bit frightening sometimes. We may imagine wrongly, but we may, it would be nice to think that we just wouldn't be able to have any passion or feel any love or tenderness for somebody who was who didn't display, it's not that they don't have it, that didn't display the admirable, the good and the nice and the attractive qualities that superficially we've been not programmed, but like in fairy tales, that intellectually we may say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. But the small self who loves, who is in essence still a child, is no, it's like whatever. It's not hearing that. Just below our consciousness, just in, not deep in the subconscious, but just below, there is a shopping list of things that we desire to rectify. And it's still a positive thing, unless you remain utterly unaware, or unless your partner has more of this stuff going on than you. Like, just knowledge is never a bad thing. Once you know, you can jolly well do as I'm about to tell you. No, I'm joking. You can at least see things a little more clearly and not feel so bewildered when things start playing out. That you think, wow, I've been here before. Surely they can't, the last two romantic interests can't be that similar. It's potentially your input that's drawing out, you're pushing them into a role, and therefore they adopt a very similar role. And because we don't see how we behave in an objective way, obviously we see it from behind our eyes, and hearing like the little voice in our head, we don't see what we're doing. And this is what Bat says to me, that this is true right now. Like, try to imagine or compare the past with the present, in as much as reflect, very briefly, because I will pause for a second. Reflect on how one or both of your parents made you feel overall. And that could include a parent leaving, like I said, because of divorce or death. So try to take a second to just re-experience that feeling. And then there may be a couple of feelings that you just thought of, or emotions, and then take a stock check of how often you feel that same feeling around your partner, if you have one. And when I did this, I kind of knew the area to look in, but I felt a little foolish, I guess. Like a few things certainly made more sense to me, because they're not coincidences, because it can just be oh my gosh, is that right? Okay, we're doing that, are we? And it's the first step in becoming aware of this internal script. It's like you're playing, a part in a film. It's this script that, we follow, and we play it out. And this is hopeful, actually, because once we know we have a script, we are more easily able to overcome. And we're able to see the wood for the trees, as it were. It can be, if you're not in a relationship, it can help you to find someone who is slightly less dramatic in terms of it's hopeful. But I'm not a drama fan, as it were, but you have to feel what you have to feel. There's no, unless you're Anna Nicole Smith, there's not much point in going into something other than for genuine feelings, and we can try to deal more competently, or like with more awareness, for the compulsions that we will find as a result of these things within our existing relationship. And that's comforting. Like, it's hopeful. Not only have you got Jesus, if you're like, one of my regular viewers, but you've also got an additional awareness. And therefore, certainly if you know anything of your partner's childhood or like history, you can make concessions, or not to the point where you feel you're being put upon, but you can give yourself some emotional breathing space, as opposed to just reacting again and again and again to the same thing. And this process will involve accepting the small self that loves to some extent, and to accept how we are prone to deal with things in the light of this small self, this vulnerable, fragile little nutter, as I feel like I may have christened mine. The immaturity of a child, like, just lets the emotional oh gosh, it's pretty, I don't know, romance and all that is pretty terrifying anyway, if you want my opinion. Anyway, this child, the one that we were when we first encountered not only love, but the flaws of our parents in delivering or receiving that love even. And you can, like, maybe think back to a time when you spent a lot, I don't know, like you made some gift in school, and maybe your parents were dismissive of it, or didn't see the relevance, because for you, you've just put your little heart in it, and to them it's like a really tacky, I don't know, blob of clay, for example, with some paint on it. It depends whether you're, whether you have a parent, one of them who's more practical and pragmatic, as it were. Mothers are usually not that one. It's usually your father. So, as I've said, we're attracted to adults who have some of these failings, the ones that we first met in our childhood. And as children, we had none, like zero, none of the resources and the efficiency, and please God, the like discernment or the wisdom or the compassion for other people, the unselfishness that love requires. Children don't seem to have that so much. They are much more egocentric. They are much more but me. Yeah. Oh my God, that's words to live by, basically. Anyway, where was I? So these failings. Think of it this way. The failings we're most attracted to become the ones that we are least able to deal with. Ones that we begin to cope with as young adults, we have a different skill set. We have a different emotional toolkit, as it were. The ones that we are most attracted to, because they are the first we encountered, are the least like the ones we are most defenseless against. It's just like one of those seems like a bad joke sometimes, because it may be that we seek out emotionally unavailable people, and then it turns out that we cannot handle the emotional void or the silence. You couldn't make it up, really. You just couldn't make it up. On the flip side of that, you may be drawn to like a wildly free-spirited people, and then can't cope with the anxiety of wondering what is going to happen next, because it's also, free and easy, as it were. To put it a slightly other way, the ramifications, or what we're left with as a result of this emotional start in life, it doesn't solely involve attractions to certain qualities or failings. It also incorporates a way of responding to those feelings that is, listen to what I'm saying now, it's stuck at the level of a traumatized infant. So unsurprisingly, it generally involves panic, terror, projection, shame, withdrawal, like an inability to match emotionally, like to, what's the word I'm looking for? To have a suitable response. You may find that if you may not even notice that you do it, but you may find that if somebody questions something at the wrong time, someone you love, you will find yourself just attacking their position, or just, and it's perceived as being unable to cope with criticism. You find that people who have that trait, it's to an onlooker, or even we may have the same trait, but when it's not us, obviously we don't make the allowances, and we may just be like, whoa, you just can't cope with any kind of feedback whatsoever. But it all depends on what we think of that person and where they fit into our childhood stuff. Either way, if we are to rectify any of this, please, God, we are, because life is too short, the world is too dark, Jesus might come back soon. Like, can you imagine if he came back and you're in the middle of the most pointless argument, or the most pointless 101st argument of your relationship, like facing other ends of the planet, and Jesus is just up in the clouds like, okay. Let's not all do that, please. The way to begin, oh gosh, is to imagine how, I don't know, think of someone you admire. If it's not you, I'm sure it's you deep down. Imagine how a mature person, a well-balanced, mature, emotionally, adequate human being might, how they would react in relation to this, I don't know, this partner is emotionally distant, this partner or yourself who feels ashamed of sex in some way, I don't know, this parent who has a tendency to dump their emotional baggage on you, and then you find that in a partner. Imagine the, I don't want to say correct, but a mature response initially. Just imagine it, think what it might be. A mature person, as opposed to your inner child, as it were, would not be, with any of these behaviors, wouldn't be pleased. That's certainly legitimate, but they also would have the skill set that we are lacking in childhood to be able to wait for the right moment, for example. That's a brilliant one. To not be caught up in their own emotional damage limitation to even notice like that you're having a little bit of a difficult time over there, or to be able to manifest the care. Like sometimes, let's have it right, you're not as bothered as you potentially could be on paper, because you've got your own stuff going on and you think like, oh, do me a favour. However, if you can like detach yourself somewhat, like a, head from heart, like in the final analysis, like if you genuinely believe Jesus was on his way back or shortly to return, or whether it's the end of the world or not, like we all have a finite amount of time in which to do so much other stuff also. Like the stuff that Jesus needs, he doesn't need, he desires that we fulfill this commission. And there's only like X amount of hours in the day, and that's if you get up and go to bed like ridiculous, like if you're up at 2:20 in the morning making a live stream, and also wanting to blow your nose, but and then just getting over it and doing it, because either way, this mature person, I'm going to stop veering off my notes now. This mature person, this person who's got, I don't know if they're imaginary at this point, but they're pretty together, pretty cool cats, as it were. You imagine that they have the skill set. They're not Liam Neeson, but they know the tone of voice potentially to use. They don't go into sulking. That's a big one. That's quite a childish one that is played out all over the world with grown adults. They don't have fits of jealous rage. They don't have, they don't spaz out like massively. They, like calmly, collectedly, lovingly, because this is not your enemy you're talking about. This is like the person you like to spend the rest of your life with potentially. It's that kind of thing that we're looking at. We're not doing it at the moment. We're just trying to envision this this version of us, this person. They may even just make a joke, and it may be at the right time. They may have that kind of emotional maturity to be able to try to make you smile when you need to smile, or it may just be a cuddle at the right moment. Either way, we firmly anchor that possibility in our minds that this can be us, and that we can. I just had a vision in my mind of just smothering a small child, like, but there is no small child. It's within you, as it were. But that just made me laugh because I didn't see that coming. So we're able to help ourselves see that our own instinctive responses, the thing we want to do, which could just be punch him in the face and move on with your life. I don't know, like it really could be. Some of these like patterns of emotional ups and downs and like behaviors are pretty like entrenched by the time now. And yeah, it is possible. It is possible because if you think at the beginning of relationship, the way they breathe doesn't make you want to elbow them in the face, for example. Just a random example. Anyhow, we we have to. We don't have to. You can carry on how you like. I ought to. That sounds wrong. It's possible that it would be beneficial to have an area of potentiality or possibility inside us where we don't have to react the way we always react, because of spoiler alert. If you do what you've always done, you will get what you always got, and you will be back at that same square one all the time. So if we imagine having a different, a more mature, a more constructive response to the frankly woohoo crazy oddness that we see in the person we love, because our woohoo crazy oddness, I'm going all technical now, must seem just as alien to someone who's not in it, who's not living it, because it's like I say, we make excuses for ourselves. We don't even need to, because we're like the centers of our own universe oftentimes. In real life, Jesus should be at the center, but you get busy and stuff. So if we are able to accept that we're not perfect, definitely I can speak for myself, we're not, even though we may have fleshed out ideas about, we may have looked at this stuff in ourselves in the past and then forgotten it all in a hot minute because I'm in love, that kind of thing. Because you don't want to be psychoanalyzing every tiny thing. You want to just be feeling all warm and fuzzy, potentially. If those are the correct words, please do let me know in the comments section. So we don't have to run. We can stand still. We can take a deep breath. We can be brave, braver than we were as children. And we can realize that you deserve to be loved. Actually, you may be a little rotter, as the inner you, the little kid, the little loon that's driving, I don't know, rowing this boat, driving this car, whatever analogy, steering that ship, that's the one. And if you recognize that in your loved one and recognize it in yourself, you're both being driven along by neither of you are actually in control. That's the other terrifying thing for people who like to exert control, even when it's negative, when things feel like when you don't feel like you're in charge. Because people would just be happier if they did what I say, obviously. That's what you may be thinking to yourself if you're anything like me. But really, you want someone else to be in control. Let's not even go there. Let's just get on with these notes. So, we learn better how to cope with the problems. We look back at times when we may have had like a couple of months off of spazzing. Like at that point, you think, oh, they're cured. That's fine. Oh my gosh, aren't they reacting well compared to how they used to react? Like, oh, panic over, it's all sorted. Spoiler alert. That's not. But as the person who didn't spaz a few months ago and is now spazzing out, potentially, or if it's you, if it's them, whatever it is, in a spirit of like, it's always got to be with love. It's never because, well, you're just such an idiot that why don't you just sort your life out kind of thing, because when you can say it like that, but it won't be received well. You have to try and recreate that in your mind and think what was different then, what is being more exacerbated now. We can endure as humans like much suffering, and we can do it cheerfully, like in the case of a parent for their child. Like you will do it if the relationship, if the object of your love is like, if it's a sincere love, and if you do, then you will, and that's all there is to it. And if you want to fight, it's like, yeah, you will. You may not feel like you can, but you will. So yeah, acceptance, I guess. Not running away, recognizing your own inner child, and doing some. I'm not talking about like Dr. Phil or I don't know, nothing dramatic. There's no like a Woody Allen film where you're sitting in therapy for hours at a time, like in a Manhattan, I don't know, like apartment. No, that's not happening. It's just a little tiny bit of work, and it saves losing somebody that you love. Like that's the like extrapolated outwards. That's the potential ramification of doing zilch or having a little think about it ad nauseum forever for the rest of your life. Emotionally distancing when all it does is elicit insecurity in the other person, and then they seem like they're coming on a bit strong, and it's like a ballet sometimes, and it's just as confusing when you watch the different like dance moves, as it were. It doesn't matter that you can identify them, it's what you can do about them. But of course, you can't do anything about something you don't see happening or you don't know. And when we can come to accept, this is the kicker, that an uncomplicated, safe, comfortable pipe and slippers cardigan, like version of being happy in love, was never our intent. It was never what we truly sought after. That can prevent us from now comparing what we have with this imaginary ideal that we weren't looking for. That we may have seen that in potential partners and be like, nope. But still, our mind will tell us, well, you could have this, that, the other, and look at this crap, as it were. I mean, the situation, not the person. That's, happiness and uncomplicated, comfortableness is not our leading, it's not the leading psychological possibility of our childhood. It's really not. I mean, unless you had a remarkable childhood, I'm going to say. And in that realization, we can slowly, potentially, or suddenly, we can begin to learn how to fully integrate or accept, maybe surrender. I don't know, like be at peace with the child that we thought we grew out of, that we left in our childhood, but we never do. These character traits, we can somewhat quieten the incessant urge to rectify them by rectifying them. That'd be great. But also just by recognizing them and acknowledging them. And like, I'll end like right now really, but I appreciate compartmentalization, like within, i.e. you put that thing there in your brain and you have a little bit of you that deals with this stuff and just keep everything quite neat, and it saves you getting overwhelmed. As we make peace with some of them, they're just as compelling, because the resolution of them just means that they're fully integrated and that we can then use them beneficially. They're not going anywhere. You don't need to feel any like abandonment issues about like being disloyal to your own character traits, because they still make up you. It's just that they don't run you. They won't be in charge of you. You won't find yourself sitting there thinking, how have I got here again? And genuinely not knowing, even though you've literally walked yourself right through this shizzle storm, I'm going to go with, because I don't really want to say. But yeah, they become less troublesome. And just like an unruly child, their children are actually a pleasure to be around. Just not when they're like dosed up on I don't know, Red Bull and ice cream. So I feel like that's a pretty natural way of bringing that to a conclusion. And I really do hope, even though like obviously it was highly technical, the term, I tried to make it like as accessible. Like, I really do hope that some, like I say, for me, when I thought about the overriding feeling from one of my parents, and then I was like, all right, how often do literally, I didn't even get to the end of the sentence. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, you can know it intellectually until you feel that like pang of recognition. You're like, oh shoot. Like, shucks, you may say to yourself. You may use other words that begin with similar letters. Oh, definitely, John. So definitely. And if your parent, like everybody to a certain extent, has a certain mental frailties, let's say that. Some people have periods of great mental instability in their lives, and those people, some of them will have children, and some of, as children, we are often, there's an army of child carers in reality, like, who are actually part parenting their parents at times. And that can also set you up for a life of caretaking and disappointment and, feeling that you're not good enough, etc. Georgia, I'm so pleased. Because really, you lot could have been nowhere. I could have just been saying this to a camera because I needed to hear it, and I was the one making it up, as it were, or like distilling it. So, yeah, I just think it's nice to be nice. I think it's really lovely to be loved. Like, I didn't used to feel like that because of vulnerability and all that stuff. However, like, I have another, I don't want to bring the tone down, or not the tone, but the atmosphere. But again, not all of the deaths I've experienced in the last couple of years have had any run up to them whatsoever. Some of them have been literally a phone call, and that's, you're never going to see them again. Like, someone says, oh, have you heard of, but the other ones, they're, they come with a run up period. So again, I'm trying to remain as balanced, and when I feel challenged by life, I just try to help other people, because for one, I haven't got time to just start crumpling in a corner and all that and just switching off my phone. But also, I feel like that's what Jesus would have me do. Like, there are certainly people with equally pressing emotional upsets, and they are somehow able to make me feel better about myself, and then I try and, so relationship drama, or relationships as other grown-ups call them, I feel like somehow if they're not, they're supposed to edify you, like Jesus is meant to be in the middle of them. It depends if you're Christian. But I can be hugely resourceful when it comes to childishness, but I don't want to be. I'd rather be doing stuff for Jesus, because I ain't got time for all the drama. Not a fan. I like watching drama, like scripted drama. I don't like ad-libbing my way through through real life drama, because there's the potential to accidentally punch someone in the face, but also like just the hurty drama ouchness of it. Like, those are the typical terms. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered because the amount of people who keep dying, and you think, oh, I wish I'd have said that. Oh, I wish I'd have done that for them, and I wish I'd have made them feel a bit more loved and a bit more. And you just won't get the chance. And then you've got people in your life who are really important to you and to Jesus, obviously, who's got time to make, like, to have to store up regrets for one day when you'll look back and say, oh, I can't believe I was such a div. Like, not me, one bit. I try anyway. Maybe I could have put post-it notes up saying just stop being a dickhead. Div is what I meant to say. Anyway, has anyone got anything to say? Because I really do need to blow my Uta, as it were. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, in terms of salvation and resurrection, it has, but no, it still stings. I feel like you've been punched in the throat. No, but thanks for asking, John. No, I was due to start one of my modules, and then I realised that it was just orientation, and I'm familiar with, I only just stopped a different modules, so I was able to duck out early, as we call it in the trade, which was all right because I had lots of other stuff to do, and people who needed to talk things through, and I was able to, please God, be a blessing where possible. So that was a day well spent, even though I feel a bit, I don't know, like I could do with, this is the thing, who cares for the carers? Like, who loves the people who do all the loving? It's not that there's no one to do it, it's just that we it's really like the reward for digging a good hole is a bigger shovel, or something like that. There's some saying, if you want something done, you give it to someone who's busy, because they'll get it done. So when you're blessed, it is a blessing to be the kind of person who people turn to when they feel sad or something, or it can be a bit weird being like self-sufficient in that respect, or caring in that respect, because then when it's your turn, you think, oh, who's there for me? And then you get over yourself because you haven't got time for that nonsense, and it just starts up again. So thank you for remembering though, or asking, Jim. It's that Latin qui ipsos. It's who watches the watchman, who polices the police. Is that kind of ipsos custodiet? I don't know. Do I look Latin? Nope. So you're right, Marion. Good to see you. We don't. No, we don't. But the people that I'm concerned about, speaking like family members, etc., they haven't all got the hope that I defend regularly. So thanks, Jimmy. I didn't realise you were actually watching. I thought you were just listening. All right. I will be all right. I know what I need to be all right. I've got time. I've got to try and. I really do feel like, well, I know that like life is finite. I don't mean that we won't go on into eternity, but this life is the only chance we've got to like make a difference. So yeah, blank wall. What a blessing. Like, I'm assuming either you're quite young or you're a sociopath. Either way, well done. I mean, if it's because you've never been given a reason to, yeah, not only to make it right, Mohammed, but to begin, to be able to bless people is a massive blessing. To be able to love people is, in and of itself, an opportunity that God's given you to develop your own personality, as well as, like, potentially be a source of goodness for somebody else. Sorry, excuse me. Blank wall, and you feel that prevented you from grieving after that because you knew what they were to expect. I also, there is blank wall. Yeah, I had a OBE. I don't mean from the Queen. Yeah, same thing, different acronym. It didn't prevent me from. It's difficult for me to grieve at the moment because I'm not joking. It's like bosses. Like, literally, someone passed away in March. Someone passed away in December. Like, I had the anniversary of a death this month that was very, very close to me. So the hits keep coming. So you're just like literally getting over maybe the denial and the anger of the one, and then another one comes along, and it's like, rather than going in a circle of like, healing, you're just kind of looping along. Oh, Mohammed, I know there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it except for the possibility of being stabbed in the heart and having to pick up the emotional pieces of your, like, still warm corpse. I'm only joking. I did get quite dramatic this time of the morning, you may have noticed. But yeah. Anyway. Of course it does. No, Harry, I agree. Certainly. And there would be no true joy if there wasn't pain to compare it to. Like, that's all. Like, I am against vulnerability, but only in me. Like, you lot can crack on. It's one of the things I have to work on. I mean, I am vulnerable. It's just presenting it in a way that people don't feel like stamping on your feelings. I don't know. But obviously they've got their own stuff, and that's the thing about relationships. Ideally, it would be that you would see the child in them and they would see the little lunatic in you, and then, like, two heads are better than one. I don't mean Siamese twins. I mean, like, you help each other out. That's the whole point of. It's not the whole point, but it's nice to think that when you need someone, it would be the person who you think so highly of. Just a thought, just throwing it out there. Crazy kind of kid I am. Anyhow, the other thing is, these childhood issues that I was discussing, or these first impressions of what love is, can also affect our relationships with Christ, with God in general, the triune God, because, like I say, we either push the other party into the role of maybe the absent parent, or we become absent. And, like, especially with emotionally avoidant attachment issues, I've already done a video about this, I feel, a long time ago. Yeah, you can end up, like, replicating that somewhat in your opinions of God, or what you feel God, because, like, the father part of it. Yeah. Christian rates, does love have a substitute? As with, like, say, for example, fear can be, to a certain extent, so fear is a positive thing. Fear of the Lord brings wisdom, etc. No, depart from evil is wisdom. Fear of the Lord. Oh no, fear of the Lord is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So fear is beneficial. There's a big tiger, you go, whoa, frightened of that, I'm running that way, or I'm going to punch that right in the face. or I'm just going to play dead. Like there's 3 options. Armor of God, no, it's not substance based. I was going to say that anxiety is like a satanic, like snidey fear, like a counterfeit. So for love, I mean, an obvious answer, but a wrong one, might be lust. But I don't feel they're interrelated enough. Certainly not nowadays with the amount of porn that's available. Like I feel that if you're falling in love with, I'm sure you've never seen porn, any of you, but like it's not really lovey-dovey, I guess, that you're after at that late stage in the evening. I don't know when. Let's get off that. Okay. The point is, substitute for love can be like an obsession, I guess, can be a narcissistic kind of. It's more like an impetuous child, like a demand to be basically worshipped or to be the center of somebody's, like, you know, like emotionally manipulative or abusive people. They're only playing out the abusive stuff they felt. Like, I'm not dismissing it, but I'm saying there's always a cause, which is why like, we're able to help, because we have to love them anyway. I don't mean in a relationship with them. I mean we have to love people enough to see past their sins, their crimes, their religion, their everything, because Jesus does, and we've got the inside like skinny. We know that he loves them, so we can just like dispense really of a lot of the like analysis that you would put into somebody who you are in love with, because it's a little bit different. So yeah, I guess there is, but it would be an amalgamation of different. But the thing is, I don't mean the fruit of the spirit, but love, being in love chemically, like if you look at the oxytocin or the chemicals that are released within your brain, it's very similar to clinically, like insanity. I don't want to scare anyone, but it literally is very, very similar makeup. Being mental, breastfeeding, and being in love. Those like chemical markers are, you know, one of these kids is doing his own thing. Is that kind of Sesame Street thing? Yes, it has a signature. Christian roots, definitely. Yep. It's also a form of insect. Yeah, it could be heavily likened. It depends. The first flushes, like, you know, it's like, oh, please God, it doesn't last. No, I shouldn't. That's a stupid thing to say. But the point at which you would happily, like, maybe tattoo their name in a big gaudy way on your. I don't know what your thing is. Like massive declarations of undying, whatever it is. That feeling, that like a obsessive and that thing that's making my cheeks feel a bit warm. That one, very similar to people in psych wards. I don't know, Mohammed, do you? Yeah, I get. Yeah, I think so. I think I just said that correct. Yeah, you have, it's your delivery. You have to imagine that you're speaking to like a very vulnerable, fragile child whenever you're dealing with love, and that's inside yourself as well. But yeah, the oxytocin. I mean, yeah, chemicals, eh? What can you do? Is it taught? The fruit of the spirit isn't taught. However, like I'm reticent to pray for patience, even though I quite desperately need it at the moment in terms of not having the patience to not feel like her or having some understanding of somebody else's processes, like, and trying to put them above my own needs, which is, and that's frustrating in the first place. But then when you add to it like real life stuff that's going on, so I do want patience. Sorry, I'm feeling like I should pause the tape for God, as it were. But I don't want the process of having it forged in me, because God doesn't generally drop it off by FedEx. He gives you some like a stressful trial in which you manufacture patience, or when patience is forged in you. So love, to a certain extent, it's not artificial, but it is, you are taught to a certain in a certain respect how you will approach it forever in your childhood, how you're made to feel, how you see it displayed from one parent to another, or from your parents to another sibling, or by your grandparents. You can tell the difference between your grandparents' love and your parents' love, even when you're a kid. And it's not just because your nan will give you chocolate when your mum will say, no, you have to eat your dinner first. It's not only stuff as mercenary as what you can be when you're a kid. I don't know, there are different kinds of love. You can be taught to recognize them. You can be taught to look past your own automatic responses to them. Certainly. Yeah, you can. It is a very splendid thing. I mean, so is lightning. Still burns your bottom if you're bending over when it strikes. I don't know where burning pops come from. Shush now, okay. It's very late, darling. Armour of God, I feel like potentially I'd like to know if you grew up in a circus for a start, and I'm going to say all the things that just lined up in my head because I literally just saw the little monkey. Okay. I feel like maybe that's potentially where you're going wrong, Armour of God, in any romantic endeavours you may be engaged in. I mean, I think that'd look lovely on a Valentine's Day card myself. I don't even know what I'm going on about at this stage. You're absolutely right, sir. I don't know what the entire video was about. Good to see you were paying attention, as always. Oh, mate, my life. How did it come to this? That's what you got to ask yourself. Balls and monkeys. Yeah, Christian roots. Okay, maybe I'm just reading things in it. Okay. Yeah. You gotta laugh. If you don't laugh, just cry yourself to sleep. Oh, nobody to cut it, etc. So you might as well laugh because it's too short, life. And it never feels too short when you're a child. Do you notice that? Like, I don't know where you live, but in Britain, when you're a child, you have 6 weeks holidays in the summer. And I'm not sorry, I'm just running a cigarette as I'm talking. I'm not joking. It feels like it lasts about 6 months, I reckon. Like at the beginning, it's just like ages away that you have to go back to school in September. And then now I'm an adult, it's always, oh my gosh, it's Thursday again. There's no significance to Thursday anyway. No idea why, but I'm always thinking, oh gosh, it's Thursday tomorrow. Like, just the weeks, just let's go. It's not fair because youth is wasted on young people when they don't appreciate it. Anyway, that's potentially why I feel that time is of the essence. But like I say, you can't love anyone if you have zero time in which to do it. So don't be idiots if you can help it, and make the most of the time you've got, because you ain't going to get it back. You got time to make mistakes, as it were. It's better to make a mistake than not do anything at all. Romans 8:28. Basically, love is patient, love is kind, it keeps no record of wrongs, it doesn't boast, it isn't envious, lovely bit of love. It's just nice if you can cope with the amateur dramatics that may go along with it. It is all right, isn't it, Harrier? It's also the worst, weirdly. It's the best, and it is also the most soul-destroying, crushing, lonely. It all just depends on whether it's a Thursday or not, basically. I know. I just had the anniversary I had 2 anniversaries of 2 deaths this month, and one of them, like, I couldn't work out, is it 2 years, is it 3 years? And then I pinpointed that, and that felt like like it was it felt like a long time. And the other one, I just couldn't believe that it was a year already. Like, if someone would have wired me up to like a polygraph and stood me in a dock, like in a court, I would have said 6 months, 5-6 months ago. And it's like an entire year. It's like, how does that happen? Like, yeah, they just keep dropping. I don't know if there's been a meeting that I missed, like some memo going around, like to leave early to avoid the rush or something, but yeah, it's just the family and the relatives that are left behind. It's very difficult. Like, I've been also trying to sort out, well, not trying, I have been instrumental in sorting out some, like somebody's estate, basically, like helping with that for my family. So it's just, yeah, I just feel a bit tired of it. But they just keep doing it. They just won't take the hint and carry on living. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Harry L. Kinda. I mean, it's a good tune, but you do need other stuff. Jesus is love, but you need people to love. You need to laugh. You need to live. You need to take risks. You need to make mistakes. You need to do lots of things, helping people mainly. But it depends. Ephesians says we've all got different functions. Some of us are called to, be evangelists and shepherds. I don't think they mean sheep, like real ones. I think they mean teachers. But yeah. Nice, Marion. Does that mean you can set fire to people and send them off in longboats as an adult if they hurt your feelings? Because potentially I may join. I may have to invent a job of myself that involved spiky helmets and big beards. But yeah, I didn't think of it like that. Culturally, it's slightly different. Yeah. Anyway, any final thoughts before I I have to go now. Just because these mornings keep slipping past, and then the other morning, the one where I wake up, it stays at the same time, and I end up feeling ever so slightly fragile. And yeah, I'm trying to think now what I've got on tomorrow. Yeah, I still need to get off. Thank you, Crystal Notes. It's very kind of you. It's nice to be nice. I can't be bothered with just the silence and the dark world and the depressing. I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna happen anyway. The world is gonna end like sooner or later, or in the middle time. You don't know. But one thing is for sure, like, you can't use this world is certainly under the sway of wickedness is the translation, but I'm alright with the translation that says Satan as well, because he is the small g god of this system in another verse. And if he thinks I'm going to sit about looking out at the darkness and going, oh, isn't it dark, and then just like doing something different, no, Jesus is the way. Get on it. Do something for Jesus. Prayer, that'll do. If you do that because of your free will and God's respect for our free will, as it were, he can do something about it. Hello, blood fire. I was wondering if it was you then, and then that comment basically nailed it for me, I think. Anyway, doing stuff for Jesus doesn't necessarily mean like running marathons or like physically exerting yourself, but it does mean doing something for Jesus. I know the clue is in the title. Just the smallest thing. I'm not trying to guilt trip you. I promise. Just the tiniest thing. Have a look at one of the persecution news outlets. Have a look at the resources page. Like order yourself some literature that you can give out to people to raise awareness. Write one of those emails to the secret believers in the Middle East. Like, it's really edifying when they reply. Like, it's lovely. Doesn't take any effort. Like, the time it takes you to watch a video of a kitten doing a handstand on a skateboard or whatever it is, you can just bang that out, no trouble whatsoever. It doesn't have to be your life story. It's just like, I don't know, a little tiny paragraph. Like, here you go, I'll give you an idea. You say, God bless you, and I hope you realise that there are people in the West, maybe whatever you want to say, you shouldn't really specify where you are, but yeah, you can't judge the regime either. You can't put any details like that. You just say, oh, blah 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 blah. I saw a video, or we haven't forgotten you. This is my favourite Bible verse. What's yours? And then you just open up a dialogue. So yeah, do that. Or support people in their live chat things. I don't know, prayer. Subscribe to Bloodfire's channel, although I hope that is the right. Yeah, it sounds like it. But yeah, find on my community tab on this channel, go down, and there's one of John, and then click whatever little symbol and name is underneath that, and then go and subscribe, and then I might leave you alone. About it. I am popular when I'm demanding. You're absolutely right. Anyhow, let's see, now I feel bad to put the phone down. I'm not on the phone to press the button. But yeah, as soon as I do press the 2 buttons, you can all just quickly scoot over and subscribe. What's the matter with you? What, clicking the button? It's too much, is it there? Stuff for Jesus, I know it's a kooky concept, but someone's got to do it, and it might as well be us, because it's not like we haven't already been paid like a free gift of salvation kind of way, and a commission that takes time to do it. You don't know, any minute literally Jesus can come back anytime, and I would take to think that you're just wasting the preciousness of the time you've got. Just wait until someone is desperately ill. I'm not wishing it on you, but on deathbed, as it were, and you'll realise how precious time is in general. I just want to leave it on a downer, but it is precious, and you can use it to edify other people, to love other people, to receive love. You can use time to just be kind to yourself. That's another thing. I was talking to a lady today for a long time, and it can be alien for people to think about just being kind to themselves, but Jesus loves you as much as he loves the people he desires for you to help, and to feed the poor, and to be there for the needy. You're one of them. So also remember, this includes sleeping in the night time. Obviously, I'm aware, but I'm special. So shush. But yeah, be excellent to each other, to quote a very good Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Just mate, I'm banging a drum here. It's not even. I pressed the first button because seriously, I could be here all night saying right, I'm going now, but I am actually going now. So that is true, John. It kind of happened, but there is a little clip on Soko. Usman was just trying it, but things could have been a little different. I tell you who did get nicked. Asif got nicked, but brought back again, or came back again. Got literally driven away and then released, as it were. But yeah, we can go over that another time. Right, I'm going to see you all later, and lots of love, and ciao, and sweet dreams, and I hope tomorrow is better than today for you. And that's even if you had a brilliant day. I know, John. All right then. I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.